The letter wasn't meant for him. It was written in shaky pencil lines, folded too many times, and left on the edge of a polished mahogany desk that cost more than most people's houses. When Julian Ashcroft picked it up that morning, he expected numbers, contracts, or complaints. Instead, he read a child's words, and for the first time in years, the most powerful man in the building felt his chest tighten like he couldn't breathe. Before the story unfolds, if you believe in kindness and second chances, take a moment to like, comment, share, and subscribe to the channel Midnight Tales. Your small support helps these stories reach hearts that need them. Every day, the Ashcroft Tower shimmered under the sun, a glass giant reflecting success, wealth, and ambition. By day, it was alive with tailored suits, ringing phones, and the hum of power. By night, when most of the city slept, Maribel Cruz entered quietly through the service elevator with a cart of cleaning supplies and tired hope in her eyes. She was a single mother, not by choice, but by circumstance, raising her 8-year-old daughter Sophia after life had taken too much too fast. Daytime belonged to other people's dreams. Daytime was when she dropped Sophia at school, worked a short shift at a cafe, paid bills, worried, and smiled through exhaustion. Nighttime was when she cleaned offices that smelled of money and confidence she never had the luxury to feel. Maribel cleaned during the day as well, but the CEO's floor was strictly assigned to the night crew. That was the rule. She didn't know much about Julian Ashcroft, only that his name appeared in business magazines, and that his office was always spotless, even before she arrived. Floor-to-ceiling windows let daylight flood the room every morning, but Maribel only ever saw the muted glow of afternoon sun slipping away as she wiped desks, straightened chairs, and emptied trash cans. She worked quickly, carefully, invisibly. That was how survival worked. Be quiet. Be useful. Don't take up space. Sophia sometimes came with her on weekends or school holidays, sitting quietly in the corner with crayons and homework, while Maribel finished early shifts. Sophia was bright and observant, the kind of child who noticed when her mother rubbed her wrists after a long night, or counted coins twice before buying groceries. She asked big questions in small voices. Why are some offices so big? Why do they need so many rooms? Why do you look sad when you think I'm not looking? Maribel always smiled and said everything was fine, because that was what mothers like her did. One afternoon, due to a scheduling mistake, Maribel had to clean the CEO's office while the sun was still high. Sophia sat at the small table near the window, coloring quietly as sunlight spilled across the room. The office felt different in daylight, less intimidating, almost human. Maribel moved around the desk, dusting frames and organizing papers, when Sophia wandered closer. She stared at the large desk, the leather chair, the framed awards on the wall. To Sophia, it looked like a castle. Later that evening, while Maribel was distracted sanitizing the shelves, Sophia took a small pink piece of paper from her backpack. She wrote slowly, carefully, tongue pressed against her lip, trying her best to make the letters neat. She had seen her mother cry silently too many nights. She had heard whispered prayers and heavy sighs. Children notice everything. When Maribel turned around, Sophia was already folding the paper and placing it gently on the desk, right where someone important would see it. The next morning, Julian Ashcroft arrived earlier than usual. The city outside buzzed with daylight traffic, sunlight cutting through the windows and landing on his desk. He was halfway through his emails when he noticed the folded paper. It wasn't company stationery. It wasn't professional. It didn't belong there. Curious and mildly annoyed, he opened it. The letter said, "Hello, sir. My name is Sophia. My mommy cleans your office. She works very hard and is always tired, but she never complains." She says this building is full of important people, so I think you are important too. If you ever feel sad, I hope you remember someone believes in you. And if you can, please be kind to my mommy. She is my whole world." Julian stared at the paper for a long time. The room felt quieter, the city outside fading into a blur. He thought about his own childhood, raised by nannies and schedules, surrounded by wealth, but starved of warmth. No one had ever written him a letter like that. Not when he was a child. Not now. He folded the paper carefully and slipped it into his jacket pocket, but the words followed him all day, sitting heavier than any boardroom decision. That evening, Julian stayed late. He watched from his office as the night cleaning crew arrived. He saw Maribel enter, shoulders slightly hunched, eyes focused on the floor. When she reached his office and froze at the sight of him standing there, panic crossed her face. Fear of doing something wrong. Fear of being noticed. Fear that had lived in her bones for years. Julian didn't raise his voice. He didn't scold. He simply looked at her and asked if she had a daughter. Maribel's heart pounded. She nodded, barely able to speak. When he took the letter from his pocket and held it out, her face drained of color. She apologized over and over in a rush of shame, afraid she had cost herself the one job that kept food on the table. But Julian didn't look angry. His eyes were distant, thoughtful, almost soft. He told her that the letter mattered, that it changed something in him. He asked about Sophia, about school, about how long Maribel had been working nights. No one had ever asked her those questions before. Not like that. In the days that followed, things slowly began to change. Maribel was moved to a daytime position with better pay and benefits. Sophia was enrolled in an after-school program Julian personally sponsored. Maribel didn't suddenly become rich, and her struggles didn't magically disappear, but something shifted. She no longer felt invisible. She no longer felt like kindness was a myth reserved for other people. Julian kept the letter framed on a shelf in his office, visible to anyone who entered. When asked about it, he simply said it reminded him why success meant nothing if it didn't lift someone else along the way. The tower still gleamed in the sunlight, but now, somewhere inside it, a child's faith lived quietly, changing lives. If this story touched your heart, please take a moment to like, share, and comment on this video. Your engagement helps stories like this reach people who need hope today. And before we end, special request. Please comment one kind word for every single parent who keeps going even when the world feels heavy. Because sometimes, all it takes to change a life is a small letter, written in pencil, left on a desk in the daylight.